What's up, guys? Today we're working on a 2020 Toyota Corolla. We're doing rear brake pads on this. It does have the electronic parking brake, so if you've seen any of my other videos, you know that's my thing. I like to show you how to do these without needing a scanner or without having to take it to the dealer and pay oodles and oodles of money. It's pretty simple. I'm going to walk you through the process, show you how to do these manually without a scanner, without taking it to the dealer, any of that. So before we get started, first thing you're going to need is you're going to need a 21 millimeter to get your lug nuts off. These nice expensive Toyota hubcaps pop right off. 21 mil on the lug nuts. So you're going to need that on an impact or four-way or whatever you're going to use. You're going to need a 14 millimeter socket or 14 millimeter wrench or ratcheting wrench. Whatever you prefer to use, 14 millimeter. You're going to need a drill with a wire brush, or you're going to need a wire brush, something to clean the caliper bracket. I'll show you how to do that once we get to it. You're going to need a pair of pliers. This is to get the caliper bracket bolt out without spinning the slide pin. You're going to you don't need this. I have this. We do this professionally, so we've got all kinds of tools. You're going to need some grease. We use the Sil Glide to grease up the slide pins to keep everything functioning the way it should. You're going to, of course, need your brake pads. We use Duralast Gold. We have the best luck with them. We've done 2,000 brake jobs in the last 2 years. We don't have very many problems at all with Duralast Gold parts. That's what we prefer. You're probably going to need a little pick or something to tuck the boot around the piston on the caliper end. I'll show you how to do that when we get to it. You're going to need a 17 millimeter socket or wrench to get the caliper bracket off. Again, show you how to do that when we get to it. And that should be about it. Yeah, actually you're going to need a hammer. You're going to need 5 millimeter hex head for the electronic parking brake mechanism, the actuator. And you're also going to need something to push the caliper piston in. I use C-channel vice grips. You can use a C-clamp, or you can use your brake piston tool if you have one of those, whatever you prefer to normally use to do the caliper piston to push it in. So that being said, let's go ahead and get started. We have to put all this crap back out. Get out of my way. So 21. Of course, the other side came right off. There we go. There we go. A little love tap. Roll this out of our way. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug this plug that goes into the electronic parking brake actuator. This is the actuator right here. It's this black box that's bolted to the back of the caliper. This is what spins. This is what applies the parking brake when you push the button inside the vehicle. So we're just going to unplug this and get this out of our way. Maybe. There we go. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get this bottom caliper bolt off right here, this bracket bolt. It's a 14 mil. So this is why you need your pliers, because this is probably going to spin right here. You can use vice grips too if you got vice grips, but you're going to need something. Alright, we got that off. Go ahead and get that out of our way. It's a 14. So now we're just going to slide this up. This caliper, this whole caliper, I'm just going to slide it up. I'm going to pull it right out of here. Make sure you don't rip your boot or anything. We're just going to set it to the side for a minute. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get this caliper bracket off. because we're going to clean this real good. It's a 17 millimeter. And you got 2 bolts back here. You got one here. See that? And then you got one like kind of down here back behind it. So we're going to get those off. Knock them loose. Okay, check. Gonna spin them out. Check. Okay. So this is our caliper bracket. You can see these brake pads are pretty worn, and you can see they're really not even wearing evenly, and this could be because of how dirty this caliper bracket is. So we're going to clean all this rust off of here and stuff. You can feel that they're pinched in there pretty tight, which they shouldn't be. They should be able to move freely in there. So we're just going to go ahead and get them out. And then we're going to go ahead and get these clips out. This hardware is getting replaced. Get my pliers. Okay, so you can see in there, you can see all this rust that's built up in there. So we need to clean this whole thing. Because what will happen is that rust will build up in there over time, and it makes this smaller and smaller and smaller, and your brake pads just get wedged in there, or you won't even be able to get them in there. And if you do, you'll have to like smash them in with a hammer, and we don't want that. Your brake pads should be able to move nice and free while they're inside of there, because when you hit the brake, they squeeze in. When you let off the brake, they let loose. But what will happen is if they're wedged in there, you'll squeeze in, they'll squeeze, and they'll just hold there the whole time, which you don't want. So just a few extra steps here, save you some money down the road, make sure everything operates the way it should. So we're just going to go ahead. I'm going to use my drill with the wire wheel. You can use a wire brush if you don't have any of this. You just need to get these nice and clean. See, it's pretty clean. So this other one, I might have to get one of my other wheels out to clean, but we're going to try it with this. I got it fairly clean. It's good enough. So I'm here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull my slide pin out. I'm going to go ahead and get my Sil Glide. Coat it real good. Feels good. Go ahead and bolt this back up. Check. Get these tightened up. Check. Okay. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and replace our hardware. So these do go in a certain way. Make sure you pay attention when you take these off. Just going to snap them in. Check. Check. Next thing we're going to need is these two little clips. These go on the top of the brake pad. Like this. These clip into the top. Like that. And your pad should slide in there nice and easy, just like that. If your pads aren't sliding in there easily like that, then you need to clean the bracket more. Clip this one to our top of this for the back pad. Check. Pads in there good. Okay. Next thing we're going to do, so we're going to go ahead and take this apart. Show you how to do that. So this again is the parking brake motor or the actuator. Essentially, when you push the parking brake in, the button inside the car, it's got a motor that spins on a piece that you're going to see on the back of this caliper, and it puts pressure outward and pinches the brake pad together, which applies the parking brake, stops the wheel from moving, and then when you release it, it retracts it back. So in order to replace brakes on vehicles with electronic parking brakes, you're going to see some people on YouTube that say just spin the caliper in. This one doesn't even have notches. You're not supposed to spin these in. They're not made like a normal twist-in caliper. Despite what people will tell you on the internet, do not listen to them. Every vehicle has either an onboard maintenance mode setting, which there are a few vehicles that have it to where it's set in the dashboard. You can get in and you can put the vehicle into brake maintenance mode or brake service mode. Toyota is not one of them. The only few that I know of that have it are Ford, Mazda, and Chrysler. Those three you can set into maintenance mode on board in the settings in the dash without having a scanner. Toyota, Subaru, Honda, Volvo, Mercedes, Audi, you need a scanner to put them into brake maintenance mode. It's an actual setting that you need an expensive scanner either at a shop or at the dealer to do. But we're going to do this without a scanner. I'm going to show you how to do it manually and save yourself a bunch of money. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to remove these two 5mm hex head bolts right here. So I'm using my impact. You don't have to, you can just use a regular ratchet if you want. We're just going to get these out. One, and the second one's down here. Check. Okay. We got both of those out, 5mm, set them to the side. And now we're just going to pull this motor off the back of here. It's like that. So you can see there's a spline drive here. There's a male end, there's a female end. It goes in the back of the caliper. You can also see there's a rubber O-ring on the back side here. So we don't want to damage that, so we're not going to mess with it right this second, but we're going to set our motor down. And we're going to basically, this mechanism just spins. It's like a screw inside of here. So in order to do the brakes, I'm using a T47 Torx bit to go inside of here. You can use a flathead screwdriver or whatever you got that'll fit inside. I'm basically going to put this in and we're just going to spin this back, and we're going to spin it clockwise. Okay, so you can see I'm spinning. If you're spinning it, let me show you what you don't want to happen. So if you're going the wrong way, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but once it hits the piston, so you're going to see this piston pushing, see it pushing out? You don't want that. That's the wrong way. You want to retract this all the way back, which the orientation with how I have the caliper set right now is clockwise. So you're going to spin it clockwise. And this is pulling this all the way back in until it comes to a dead stop. You'll feel it. Okay, it stopped. I can't go any further with it, so it's good. It's all the way back in the factory position. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my C-channel vise grips, and this caliper is just going to push in like a normal caliper now. So you'll see how easily this is going to go in. Just like that. So there is one step I didn't tell you about before we started. Taking the brake fluid cap reservoir off. You do want to make sure you do that. Also, once you start this process, do not get in the car and start the car, turn the brake on, push the brake. Don't do nothing. Don't even get in the car. Once you have this apart, if you push the brake pedal in or you engage the parking brake, you will push this piston out of the caliper, and you don't want that to happen. So we got our piston pushed all the way in. So now I'm going to come in, and you can see how this boot is kind of sticking up over this the piston. This is what contacts the brake pad. You don't want this boot sticking up like this, because it'll actually get caught and it'll rip, and you don't want that to happen. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this pick, and I'm just going to go inside of here and kind of pull back a little bit to let some of this air out that's kind of trapped in here. I'm going to pull back, and you can see where I'm going to be able to start tucking it in. So you don't want to rip it, you just want to tuck it in. You'll hear the air come out of it. It'll start to tuck. It'll fall back into place to where it should be. Let a little bit more out. There it goes. You can see it's seated in there perfect. That's how it should look, just like that. Okay. So we got our brake pads in. So next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get our motor back on here. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm just gonna put a little bit of Sil Glide on the inside here of this motor, or you can put it on, you can also put it on that rubber O-ring. This is just gonna help this go back on and seat the way it should without like damaging anything. So I went like this. So you can see we're just gonna kind of work it back on there. Perfect. It's on. Next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get our bolts back in. You can also put a little bit of grease on these if you want to keep them from rusting up or corroding and getting stuck. Just a little smidge. Check. Do the same on this one, just a little smidge. Check. Okay. So next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna lube up this other slide pin here. Okay. Now we're just gonna take our caliper and we're gonna slide that right back in place, drop it in. It's good. Got our bolt. I'm gonna go ahead and bolt this back up. This is our 14. Go ahead and get this tight. Whoa. That's how you bust your knuckles. Tight, it's good. We're gonna go ahead and plug our parking brake back in. It's clicked, snap, and it's good. Other than that, she's done. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my wheel back on. I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna test the parking brake, I'm gonna engage it, and then I'm gonna disengage it. I'm gonna go through that cycle a few times just to make sure everything's working properly the way it should. I'm gonna pump up my brake to get a nice firm pedal back, and then I'm gonna test drive it, and then that's it. She's back on the road. hopefully this is going to help you guys. You can get through it. As always, leave a comment, leave a follow. I can get back to you. I'm pretty good about answering questions. If you have any questions or anything like that, just let me know. Other than that, stay blessed.